Hello, everybody. I cannot believe we are nearly at the end of the year. Crazy. Like, absolutely crazy. Or maybe you're listening to this into 2025. This is still going to be so helpful for you guys. So, my encouragement is I'm going to try and keep the episode short and sweet. My encouragement is for you to actually use this episode as an exercise. So if you're listening to this on a walk for the first time, that's totally fine. Kind of like answer the questions I'm going to give you in your head, but then redo the episode. Put it in your calendar right now to re-listen to the episode when you're sitting down with your laptop in front of you or your journal in front of you so you can actually write down these things. Because a study was done by Dr. Gail Matthews, and he was able to find that people that wrote down their goals, they are 42% more likely to actually achieve them. And you wouldn't be listening to this episode or this podcast at all if you didn't actually want to achieve what it is that you're desiring for even the rest of the year, because you still have time, and then also next year. I also want to just remind you guys that there's no rush to get your dreams. Like, I know you want it now, but your dreams are going to come to you at the perfect time. Don't throw in the towel. Don't give up by the end of the year, but also don't put this like ridiculous pressure on yourself thinking that you've failed if you haven't gotten XYZ that you wanted this year, because there are so many reasons why some things don't manifest, and it doesn't really matter how much you do and how much you've showed up. It might not be in front of you. You may not have quote unquote manifested it, but for all you know, and I know your ego doesn't like to hear this, but for all you know, it's going to take a little bit longer for it to come into your life. Or there's a few things that have to happen first in order for you to actually shift your energy, or for you to actually be the right version of yourself to then get what it is that you're asking for. So let's all just take ourselves off our high horse. Let's all make sure we're not thinking that we can just ask for something and then it just comes to us. Because whilst that actually is totally possible, and it happens to me plenty of times, there's also plenty of things that have taken me years to manifest because I wasn't ready for that thing, or I needed to learn a lesson or change something in my life or embody something different in order to actually call that thing in. So just remember, when it comes to manifestation, the universe is never saying no. It's either saying not right now. It's saying it's coming, but like it's not here yet, right? It's coming, it's happening, it's in motion, or it's saying I've got something better for you. Okay, so let's dive in. So the first thing is I want to recognize how procrastination can really cost you the life that you want. So this can even be right now, this week. How are you procrastinating on taking action towards a goal that you have for yourself? Whether it's you want to go on X amount of walks this week, whether you want to eat healthy this week, whether it's a relationship thing, it could be a big goal, it could be a small goal. Procrastination and perfectionism are often looped together. They often kind of like go hand in hand. When we are stuck in this loop of procrastination, it can then cause us to, when we're stuck in this loop of perfectionism, it can then cause us to procrastinate on taking the action because we think something isn't perfect enough yet, whether it's the environment, whether it's us, whether it's the timing, something isn't perfect enough yet for us to actually go do the thing. So we just keep procrastinating on it. We can use the stories that we tell ourselves about perfectionism and like how things need to be perfect, we can use that as a way to procrastinate. And then we basically end up self-sabotaging because we didn't just go and do the fucking thing. So whether you're listening to this before the end of the year, or whether you're listening to it next year, one of your goals that you have that you just want to achieve, let's just say in the next quarter, right? So whether it's the first quarter of 2025, whether you're listening to this later in the year, whatever it is, like in the next quarter, in the next couple of months, what is a goal that you want to achieve? And what is something that you often will procrastinate on around this goal, or something that you think needs to be perfect? And then just as a really simple tool for right now, because perfectionism and procrastination is very often a trauma response, right? That is something that we work on in her year. I give you guys some really amazing tools and modalities and processes in her year to absolutely bust through procrastination. In terms of though the trauma behind perfectionism, that's going to be worked on more so inside of Queen Alchemy, because that's where all the trauma healing is done. We do have our next round of Queen Alchemy happening the beginning of 2025. It's happening starting in February. So if you want to get the extended payment plan, there is an extended payment plan happening right now. The earlier that you join any round of Queen Alchemy, the longer we can make the payment plans. The longer we can make the payment plan, right? So it becomes less each month. So if you do want to join Queen Alchemy, then that would be something that maybe you want to actually lock in before the year is even done, so that you can start doing some of the pre-work, and also just so that you've made that decision for yourself, and the universe can then start bringing you things, the things that you're manifesting into your life, because you've actually said and made your energy one of, I am worth XYZ, right? So many of us block our manifestations from happening because we just don't feel worthy, and our blocks around worthiness stop us from taking the action steps required to manifest in what it is that we want. Worthiness is an interesting one, right? Where we can really block ourselves from manifesting what we want because we feel like we're not worthy. And then because we feel like we're not worthy, we then don't go and do the work to then actually become worthy, because it's like, I'm not worthy of healing that thing. If you know that you want more for yourself, get out of your head and just go and take the action steps, because your ego is always going to hold you back. So if you do know for yourself that you are very often stuck in a loop of perfectionism and procrastination, maybe it's on all areas of life, maybe it's just on one area of life, I want to encourage you to have that at the top of your list of something that you want to work on next year, because that's going to continue to hold you back from getting the life that you want until you work on that. The next thing is I want you to carve out time, like literally put it in your calendar. I do. Carve out time to reflect on what worked for this year, what you loved, what you wish you had more time for, what you want to do more of next year, what you want to do less of. So literally write a 2024, even if you're in 2025, write 2024, a 2024 success and lessons list, so that you can write down all your successes from the year, little and big, and your lessons. So for example, Hal and I realized that we need to take about 2 holidays a year just for us. 2 holidays, not working holidays, not content at the same time, not like, oh, we're just going to check our emails today. No, full on off work. 2 holidays a year, a summer one and a winter one, where we go away for a week at a time of absolutely no work, just like when we were away for our wedding, and us just being on holiday together. We realized this year, and so this is an example of something that was like a lesson for us. And I give you guys this example because I don't want you to write down just like your big successes or your massive failures, because there's lessons in that, yeah, but there's often really good lessons in little successes and little lessons. So like a little success could be that you notice that you feel so much better when you go for a walk every afternoon, just for like 15 minutes after work. And so that's something that you really want to be implementing more of next year. Write that down. It can be something as small as that. So that's why I'm saying with this reflection time, like literally put in a few hours and do it a few times, because you'll kind of forget, like you'll do a little bit and then you'll be like, all right, it's done. And then more things will come through once you've kind of planted that seed in your head. So do this earlier rather than later. That's why I've been saying to you guys, get the New Year's Eve bundle now. Do not wait until the 31st. Do not wait until January. Now you totally can do it in January. In fact, I encourage you to do it all year long, right? Do it again and again and again. And I kind of talk about how you can change it up a little bit inside the New Year's Eve bundle. But if you're listening to this and it's before the end of the year, make sure you get the New Year's Eve bundle right now, because you want to have, if it's possible, more reflection time than less. Because once you plant that seed, new things are going to come through, and it feels really great to have done all of that reflection time before the energy of the new year. Because even though it's just like, okay, the new year is a big deal, but it's also really not a big fucking deal. Like, it's just another day. You can decide to make a change any day at any moment. You don't have to wait till it's a Monday. You don't have to wait till it's the January 1st. You don't have to wait till a new quarter or a new month in order to make change. You can decide to make change literally in the next moment, literally in the next day, of course, right? Just to like clear that up for everybody. But we cannot deny the energy, the collective energy of the new year. There is just something in the air, and we want to use that to amplify our manifestations for 2025. So do everything in the New Year's Eve bundle, before the end of the year. And then you've got your things to also do on Jan 1 and whatnot, if you can. But of course, doing it whenever is better than not doing it at all. So we realized that we needed those 2 holidays a year, a week at a time. And that was like a really big thing that we realized, because we travel all the time together, we're always together, but we're always working still. And we just had the best time on our pre-honeymoon, like our pre-wedding trip, and then on our honeymoon. We just had the best time being completely unplugged from work. And I remember we were like walking back through the entrance of our hotel that we were staying at in Lake Como, and we just decided we are committing to doing a week of a winter holiday and a week of a summer holiday of absolutely no work every single year, because we know that we need that. So writing that down, and then making sure you actually take the action steps on it. Depending what it is that you've written down in your reflections, some of the action steps you might be able to do immediately. So for example, you might be able to take an action step of like literally booking it in your calendar, and you've chosen the week for summer and you've chosen the week for winter. And maybe you put in like a plan B week in summer and a plan B week in winter. So you've got that in there. And so when it comes a little bit closer to the time, you can book that in. You might even put in a event like in your calendar, 3, 4, 5 months, depending how far in advance you like to book your trips. You might want to put in an event that far in advance to remind you, book your summer away with book summer away with husband, or whatever it is, or vice versa. And then same with winter, so you don't forget about it. And then like the week of, you're like, oh shit, we're meant to be away this week, right? And that kind of like, these little things don't need to be big action steps. It's not something that you need to be like, right, every day I'm doing this. The action step could be something much, much smaller. It could simply just be that you're going to like put a sticky note on your fridge to remind you to drink more water as much as you can. The reflection isn't about beating yourself up for everything you did a shit job at. The reflection is actually, how can I learn to be better? So you're still having this energy of self-compassion, okay? So you can think about this, like this next kind of like a little journaling exercise or just reflection exercise. You can think about this on your walk right now or on your drive, or you can, like I said at the beginning, re-listen to this and actually write it down. But I want you to plan out your new you. If you're already inside of her year, I totally want you to still do this as well, because this is a really sexy exercise to get you to step into the new year with the energy of the woman that you want to be. And this is also a really sexy exercise. I don't know why I'm saying sexy, but whatever it is, to do alongside the New Year's Eve bundle. This isn't inside the New Year's. I wouldn't put something on a podcast. It's in the New Year's Eve bundle. So even if you're in the New Year's Eve bundle, do this as well, because like more stuff, the merrier, right? Friends, I am so excited to share with you that I have another one of my juicy, like wet knickers, panty dropping masterclasses. You guys, if you haven't been to one of my masterclasses before, you can actually head to the masterclass vault and you can watch one of the previous ones. The title of it is Becoming Her in 2025. And we're going to be going into the 7 pillars that are essential for you to become her in 2025 and to create the life of your dreams. So what we are going to be covering in the masterclass is what it means to actually quote unquote become her, how feminine leadership is paramount for easy manifestation, the 7 pillars, like I said before. We're going to be doing a little life audit so that you can figure out where you're holding yourself back and not take that. I'm going to break down what embodied manifestation is and how it will drastically change the way that you magnetize your dream life. We're going to have a live Q&A, and there's going to be so much more. And it is all happening very shortly. So if you don't have your name down on the list, you absolutely need to, so you do not miss out. This will be a limited time masterclass. And I am fucking jazzed about it because, I mean, shit's just getting better and fucking better. So anyway, let's jump back into the episode. I will see you guys in this masterclass. So how does, and people do these sorts of exercises plenty of times, but I want you to really, really think about this. Use Pinterest for visual support and inspiration if you need to, but really think about this in great detail. So I would actually encourage you to literally press pause after I say each kind of like dot point, if you will, so that you can just really take a minute or two to reflect in great detail about the first one is, how does that version of you look? So the woman or the man that you want to be next year, how does she look? And think about like the winter version of her, the spring version of her, the summer version of her. Like, we're not just one person all of next year. How does she or he look? So just pause this and think about that for a second. The next one is, what does she or he have around her? So that could be environment, it could be house, it could be colleagues, it could be friends, it could be support, it could be the energy of actually having like a village around her, it could be the energy of having help around her. What does he or she have around them next year? Right? So what do you desire to have around you? Okay, what are your financial goals? And I don't want you to play small, I want you to play big. And don't just be like, oh, I want this amount of money. Like, yeah, put that in there. But also, do you want to open up an investment account? Do you want to hire somebody to help you to understand your finances? Do you want to finally hire a bookkeeper so that you're not the one having to do all your bookkeeping, for example, personal or whether it's for your business? What are your financial goals? Okay, what is your everyday routine? Like, what is an intention for yourself that you are setting of, this is my everyday routine? And on that note, what time do you usually go to bed? Like this future version of you that you're stepping into next year, what time do you usually go to bed? How do you eat and exercise? How do you handle stress and challenges? Where do you holiday to? What fulfills you? And finally, what do your weekends look like? And I purposely put those questions in because I felt like that was a really holistic kind of vision of the person that you probably want to become next year. It's not just about money. It's not just about looks. It's not just about kind of, the success that you've achieved in your career. It's also about, it's the little things, because the little things add up to the big things. It's also how you eat. What time do you go to bed, right? What actually fulfills you? What do your weekends look like? So often with manifestation, we forget the power of those really small things and the power of like stacking habits, if you will, and just making these small tweaks that end up over time becoming really, really big shifts, like really big shifts. It could be simple as like you now get up at 6:30 a.m. rather than 7:30. You go to bed a little bit earlier, and in a year's time, the level of vitality that you feel worlds apart just because you've changed your sleep routine. And what is the flow-on effect of now feeling that vitality? You know the flow-on effect of that, right? What would that be like for you? So now, using the reflection that we've done kind of on the year we've had so far, was 2024 in alignment with the person that you want to be? Do you feel at the end of the year proud? Do you feel like it was you living your life in alignment? If yes, amazing. And even if you say if yes, what else can you be doing or taking away now that you have clarity on, that you want to then finish or amplify in 2025? So from what you've written down, what do you want to take in to 2025? And what do you want to maybe amplify? And then if your answer is no, like, no, actually this year wasn't really in alignment, okay, that's totally fine. Like, don't judge yourself, don't shame yourself, don't berate yourself. What needs to change? And then realizing, and this is so important, like I'm calling any of you out that are in that like victimhood right now, thinking it's somebody else's responsibility to change this, or it's somebody else's fault that you weren't in alignment. Like, life fucking happens. You could have had a really rough year and that fucking sucks. But taking the responsibility of I am leading myself, that energy allows you to turn and alchemize those rough moments into lessons, into quantum leaps, into intense personal, emotional, mental, spiritual growth. And that flow-on effect is literally then you becoming the dream version of yourself, because we've all had to go through really rough seasons in order to come out as the person we want to be. If you haven't listened to the recent free masterclass I did, the 7 pillars to becoming her in 2025, her, that sounded very like almost a bit British. I'm going to say that again. anyone was like, what was that word, Monica? We're just going to say it again. If you haven't watched the free masterclass, The 7 Pillars to Becoming Her in 2025, I highly recommend you do so, because what a lot of you gave feedback on, like amazing feedback, was you were like, I knew your story, but when you went into the detail of all these different moments, all these different hardships that like, are not kind of in that big picture of your story, that everyone found it, maybe not everybody, but everyone that wrote to me found it so inspirational, so authentic. They felt like they could relate to it so much. And so if you haven't watched it, I want you to, because I don't want you sitting here thinking, I've just had it easy. Or, okay, she had like a ski accident a few years ago. She's had jaw surgery. She lost her period, like blah, blah, blah. That's all she's been through. So like everything's just been rosy for her the last 5 years. Like, no, I want you to listen to this, because whilst I might not like add these little details into like my About Me page, because like they're just kind of irrelevant to the bigger picture, I wanted to share these with you guys because I wanted you to know and feel and see from me, okay, if she can go through all of these things, I can go through these things too, because you truly can. So kind of moving on from there of like, right, you need to then figure out what needs to change, and you need to take full radical responsibility of changing that, because you are responsible for making change. Nobody else is responsible for making change in your life. So lastly, we all know that energy matters. What you put out, you get back. If you're in scarcity with money, you're going to get that back. You're going to get more scarcity, as in like your bank account won't be flourishing. If you think victim thoughts, your reticular activating system is going to show you how you are in fact a victim, right? Because you're then actually like, that's what you're literally putting into your filter system. If you have no idea what your reticular activating system is, there was a really great episode that I recently did. It was let me look it up. Hold on a second. I think it was episode 406, but I would also recommend listening to 404. That was a part 1 and part 2. And I talk about the reticular activating system in great detail, especially with victimhood. So definitely listen to that if you feel like you're trapped a little bit in victimhood. So what was I saying? If you think victim thoughts, yeah, your reticular activating system will show you that. So I want you to make sure that you also make a list, and you can think about this right now and then write it down later, but make sure you actually do it in order to get the results from it. Like, take the action steps. Don't just think, oh, yep, good idea, gonna do that, and then don't do it. So make sure that you also let go of what no longer serves you. What is really stressing you out? What is really overwhelming you that you need to sort out? What do you need to clear out of your life? So it could just be decluttering your space. It could be hiring help to help clean the house. It could be that you really need to clear emotional baggage. Definitely join Queen Alchemy. It could be that what you need to do is really create boundaries for your relationships, for yourself, and really kind of step more into your journey of embodying deep self-commitment. Whatever it is, and if you want that, by the way, her year will be amazing for that, the journey of deep self-commitment and deep self-respect. You've also got my boundaries masterclass, so if you need the boundaries work. My point is that make sure that you don't just bring into the next year the stuff that no longer serves you from 2024, because then you haven't learnt this year. A lot of people love to manifest. They don't like to reflect. They don't like to focus on what they did not so much of a good job on. They don't like to reflect on what they want to change, because people get worried they're then going to like berate themselves and shame themselves and like go into a dark hole. Like, that's not the way that you're not doing it like that, right? When you reflect, you're reflecting with self-compassion so that you can really learn. I reflect, and I'm excited to reflect, because it's like, that's the only way that I'm going to grow. If I just put my blinders on and never look back, then how can I actually quantum leap? And how can I actually like continue to grow really quickly? I can't, because I'm not looking at my pitfalls. I'm not looking at how I can improve myself. It's kind of like people in relationships that never want to take self-responsibility, that they never want to look at like this, like cleaning up their side of the street. You're never going to have the kind of relationship that you want then. Right? That's where it's like your ego is so big that you don't want to damage it. It's like, well, you shouldn't be living from your ego anyway. You should be living from your heart. Part of living from your heart is having self-compassion, having unconditional love, not expecting yourself to be this perfect human. No one's expecting you to be perfect besides yourself. So don't look back thinking the year had to be perfect. That's not what this is about at all. Like, my year wasn't perfect by any means. Look back thinking, like look back with the energy of, I just want to reflect so I can see what I could do better next year. That's it. Okay. And it's with that soft, warm energy. Inside of the New Year's Eve bundle, I'll be walking you guys through my really tangible, you guys know I love tangible, my really tangible secrets that I use every single year to make every year insanely successful. And not just successful in work, but successful in my relationships, my health, my mindset, everything. So what's inside of this masterclass bundle is found nowhere else, not in any other programs. And they are these secrets that have led me to manifest the wildest things. And I know it's from this certain thing because when I created what I give you guys inside of the New Year's Eve bundle, like this kind of method, when I created this, 22 days later, I met Hal on that chairlift. Like, you can't make that shit up. I wasn't doing anything else magical besides what I give you. I was doing what I gave you guys, what I give you in the New Year's Eve bundle. I was doing that religiously, and I then met him 22 days later, right? So you do not want to miss out. You, like I've said, you can do it next year in Jan, but if you listen to this in time, get it now. Do it before the year is over, because there's so much that you can do before you really utilize that collective energy of the new year. Okay. So I wanted to leave this episode short and sweet. Please, 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 I invite you to send me a DM sharing what was helpful from this episode, just even sharing the episode and tagging me, Monica Yates Health, so that I can know this really spoke to you. You know, if you are one of those women that is like, I just love cheering on other women, then please cheer me on. Please kind of pass it forward, because when you share this on your Instagram story, your friends are seeing it, and then they get that invitation subtly to go and check out my podcast. If it's helped you, it's probably going to help them as well. I appreciate when you guys share the podcast and I see them popping up in my DMs. And a reminder, if you struggle with people pleasing, especially over the holidays, if you often feel like you really leak your energy over the holidays, or that you kind of like lose yourself or just feel so drained and fatigued after, whether it's holiday parties or Christmas Day or just like family dinners or whatever it is, make sure that you use the meditation that we send you once you've left a written review on the podcast. Use that. I made that for this time of year, especially where we really are leaking our energy out and we need to come back to ourselves. If you don't have that meditation, you cannot buy it anywhere. You need to leave a written review on Apple Podcasts. If you're like, well, I'm a Samsung user, another reason why you shouldn't be. I'm kidding. Somewhat. Just get a friend's phone, or, you know, your husband's phone or something that uses Apple, and just leave a review, take a screenshot and email it to us. And then we will send you that podcast, the meditation for you to do. Okay. I'm going to leave it there. Thank you guys for all your support. I cannot believe we're nearly wrapping up another year together. It is absolutely wild. There is so many changes coming. I'll be talking about that a little bit in the New Year episode that will drop on Jan 1. But that episode, I'm also really going to be going into the topic of overwhelm and overconsumption of information, and just this kind of feeling of like we get so overwhelmed these days by everything thrown at us, and then we go into avoidance and inaction. So I'm going to be riffing on that on the Jan 1 episode. Next week's episode is super juicy. We're actually going to drop it a little bit early because it's purposeful it is an episode for Christmas Day, because like Christmas Day drops on a Wednesday. Well, sorry, the podcast drops on a Wednesday and Christmas Day is on a Wednesday. We're going to drop that earlier on the Tuesday. So Australians and Europeans, you guys will have that in time to listen to Christmas morning. It's about a 20-minute episode. It includes a meditation. I'd highly recommend listening to it. It's a great pep talk for Christmas morning, whether you're having your ideal Christmas morning or your not ideal Christmas. Definitely just keep that in mind to listen to that on Tuesday night or Wednesday morning. Okay. All right. I will speak to you guys soon. Have a lovely rest of your day.